Ah, got it. So, um, so listening to Brad Smith this morning, and he was talking about his agency that did $20 million. And it came from when he was
No,
here,
Rebel.
he reached out and did 100 contacts to some people he hadn't even talked to in 10 or 15 years. And 90% of his business comes from those original contacts. Nate Offert was one of them. If you don't know who Nate Offert here is because you're new, you will learn. He's done very, very well here. Um, so it was really interesting to hear it. But so I'll share what Mel and I had happen recently. So my wife's brother has been helping me do a bunch of AI stuff. He's a senior level architect. He left PayPal. He'd been there 20 years, building some really cool stuff for me. He's also very aware of what we're doing. Right before a conference, we found out that him and his wife went and got licensed and joined another IMO. That hurts a lot. Um, but it also motivates me. Like a pissed off Trevor is a very motivated Trevor because I know how to channel it. But yeah, it hurt because he knew what we were doing. It wasn't like he didn't know, but he knew. And then Sarah Reinecke was talking about that today. So Tracy, who's been here now for 1 year, started right before me, right? Tracy hit AO in 9 months. Tracy's done over 100K in 1 month. Did you know Tracy and Sarah are personal friends and have gone on vacation together in years past? And Sarah reached out to her when she first started, but she never checked in with her again. And the way Brad explained it was, and Sarah explained it, I loved, and it's just such a good analogy. As they said, Sarah goes, I love coffee, but we were at dinner last night, and she threw it humble brag with Edward Pritchett because they're on an LGA trip right now. But she's like, I love coffee, but the waitress offered it to me at 6 o'clock at night. I don't drink coffee at 6 o'clock at night. It'll keep me up all night. It doesn't mean that I don't love coffee. And it doesn't mean that I wouldn't accept it if she asked me in the morning instead of the evening. So really thinking about that analogy and how that applies to our sales and to us all building. Because everybody on this call also wants to build. We're not just here to sell, we're also here to build. And so really thinking about that, right? So, and she was talking about it, and it really just hit home because we just had this happen with my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. And so I want everybody to answer this because we all have different answers, and you can type it if you don't want to say it out loud. But what are the reasons we're not just reaching out to people in our phone that maybe we haven't even talked to in 10 or 15 years? What's like, what do you think that is? Why are we scared to do that?
Maybe we don't want to talk to them.
That's fair. Right. But there's tons of people that maybe you just haven't connected with and you have no reason to not talk to them. Right.
Yeah.
You've just moved on, you've gone different ways in their eyes.
I want to change my answer to Katie's. I just don't want to.
Okay. So I'm not talking about those people. Okay. I'm talking about just the people we have acquaintances in our lives or friends we've made that were friends for a season. And maybe we're not in that season with them now. And we just lost contact. We've all have those friends, right? We have those people in our life. Like we don't hate them. We don't think ill of them. They haven't hurt us, right? It's not those people. It's not, I'm not talking about those. Right. I'm talking about that. Okay. So what's stopping us from reaching out to them and checking in with them? Like not making it about, hey, I'm just here to sell you something, but just say, hey, you know what? It's been forever and we haven't connected. How's life treating you? Right? How's life treating you? Sandra's had some pretty cool success with that recently. She's shared those stories with me of just, hey, you know, like we went to high school together and you just lost contact, right? It doesn't mean you don't have long or they've hurt you or think bad things have happened, right? You just have it. We just have different times in our lives. Okay. So from that, why don't we share symmetry with them? Why don't we go out and share, right? It's there. Do we have the I need to be more successful first? Right? The I have to be more successful. I don't know enough. I can't mentor them yet. Right? And have you made the real decision that this is what you're going to do? Have you made the real decision that you're not just trying this here at Symmetry, but this is what we really want to do and how we want to do it? Have we like made that real decision? Right? Like, have we sat down and said, yeah, like this is right? Like, this is what we really want to do and where we really want to go. Like, has that happened yet? And ask yourself this question: are we not sharing it because we haven't decided that Symmetry is the right company for us? That we're still trying to check out Symmetry and we want to make sure this place is the right place for us. And that really stuck out to me. Like, it really got me to think. I've been thinking about it since I got asked that. And the saying I love is, right, is you got to burn the boat, right? If you want to take over the island, you got to put yourself in a corner so you don't have a back out. But the reality is you're not talking to any of these people anyway. And what if you reach out to 100 people and 5 of them turn out to be the next Dylan Crane or Brad Smith or Edward Pritchett? And it was all because you had a conversation. And how would you feel if they showed up at Symmetry under somebody else because you didn't tell them about it? A lot to think about, huh?
Yeah, you're unpacking a lot here, Trevor. Well, Trevor, are you speaking in terms like from like us to clients or from us to like potential recruit, like
Both.
coworkers?
Both. Because it's the same thing. A sales pipeline and recruiting pipeline are the exact same thing. The problem is we try to differentiate them too much.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You have to have a recruiting pipeline just like a sales pipeline.
Well, Allison and I potentially have a recruit from the 3 policies we sold this morning.
Love it. That's awesome. That's amazing. Right? But that's what we got to do, right? So
Yeah.
how do you, right? And think about it from the coffee question. What if at that time maybe they just weren't in the right position? Or what if they know someone, and then maybe it's not them? What if they know someone that, right, is the next Brian Delaney? And they're just looking for an opportunity. Think about all the companies forcing people back into the office, and we're just building tech to keep people more remote and to make this even easier. Like, just really think about that. So, because remember, on sales and in this, what is our brains naturally hardwired to do? What is in our DNA that our brains naturally try to do? Anyone?
Survival.
Yep,
Protect ourselves.
correct. Make us more comfortable. That is how we are wired as human beings, right? Our brain is hardwired to say, oh, no, don't call that client. Oh, no, don't reach out to that person. They might reject you. Our brain is hardwired for that. So the thing we have to remember is it's selfish to them, whether it's a client to help or us telling them about this opportunity. We don't know where all these people are at. Where were we at when we found here? There's way more people that are looking to do this than I think we can ever imagine. So then here's the great question we can ask on the recruiting side that I loved. Just when you're talking to somebody, having the conversation, you're getting to know them, right? ask them this question. Do you see yourself doing that for the rest of your life? Most people are going to tell you no. If they have a job and they are at a company, almost every single person, when you ask them that question, when you ask them, hey, is this something you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, is going to not tell you yes. They're not looking for that. Pretty crazy, huh?
Mm.
What do we think about asking that question?
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize I wasn't on mute.
That's a pretty
I think it's okay. I think it's challenging, Trevor, because I think I know what the actual turnover rate is at this company, and I know what it takes to be successful here. And you know, did that person who I haven't talked to in that long, did they ask for me? Are they open to, it's a mix of what they're gonna think of me, which I'm working through, and
Yep.
it's a mix of knowing that most people don't make it here. Just flat out, super clear, super transparent with all of you. Most people don't make it at Symmetry. But I'm open to overcoming the ego of like, what are people going to think of me for inviting them? And I'm open to continuing to share the opportunity. Like, my whole recruiting strategy is warm market, completely 100%. That's why I was on the panel with Trevor. So I'm not sharing it, but like, that's the vulnerability that I'm aware of because I've been here for 5 years and I've seen so many people come through the door.
So
So
because you've seen people leave, it makes you afraid of sharing and maybe finding out that it's there. So is that something you think, and you kind of said it, right? Is that something you probably need to overcome?
for sure, yeah.
Right.
And I'm still inviting despite that limitation, that limiting belief that I have. I'm still inviting despite having that. But just to answer a vulnerable question with a vulnerable answer, that's what I feel, you know.
For
Hey,
sure.
hey, Chris, I think that's fair, and I've had some success, but not where I want to be or where I used to be. So I think that always holds me back as well. Right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, hey, I'm brand new, but I'm not really sure, but don't look at me, look at others. But hey, I've been here 4+ years, so still don't look at me. You know?
Well, and this is coming off of like, and Steve, your upline's gone. The people who invited you, they're
Yeah.
not here.
Yeah.
You're the one who survived it. So it's so interesting because it's like, knowing all that, we can be open to still doing what Trevor's inviting us to do,
That's true.
But,
Yeah.
like, knowing that happens, being okay inside of yourself, knowing that who knows what's going to happen with people,
Well, Chris, I like what you said in the breakout session, that because I've been here 4 years now, that you are the fourth version of yourself,
Yeah.
and that's exactly how it is, because I've had teams, then they disappear, then I've had some more, and then they so you are creating a new version of yourself every, I don't know if it's every year, every 6 months, whatever it is. So it was great to hear you say that, because I feel that, all the time, that, okay, I've gone through, Walnetta point 1, point 2, point 3, and now we're going to, Walnetta point 10 probably. But, it's just, it's good to hear that, and for me, I was in so many MLMs, so many.
Yeah.
And for me, reaching out to other people, Trevor, is just, it's a fear of people saying, oh no, here she goes again, type thing. But that's why I was a secret agent for a couple of months, and I almost missed out on writing a policy on my own father because I never said anything. He just happened to mention to me that he was looking at getting some additional life insurance, and I was like, oh, Dad, by the way, I'm a
Really.
life insurance agent. So yeah,
these are really, really good excuses, and they're also not excuses for like what Trevor's getting at, you know? But it's like, if we're going to be
Okay.
honest about where we're at, I do want us to be honest with where we're at, Trevor, you know? And by
Yeah.
the way, this is coming off of like literally my highest. I love the hats, you guys. Tyler reminded me of, just by seeing Tyler, I was like, oh, I'm putting my insurance hat on now. I love it. You guys, I wrote and placed more in one day 2 Fridays ago than I ever have in 5 years. So I'm not doing badly at this business, but when Trevor asks us to be honest about why we're not sharing the opportunity, I do want us to be clear that like there is a shadow side of like getting through our own stuff that we need to work through if we're going to be as successful as Trevor's inviting us to be, you know?
It's almost like one of our core values is relentless pursuit of personal growth to help overcome that.
Is that written down somewhere?
It's
Well,
almost like
Trevor,
that's like, my favorite one.
I have a question.
Okay.
So most of my like recruits have been warm market. So the
Yep.
two agents that I hired that are in Excel, warm market. What is the biggest thing, I guess the biggest hurdle to really kind of get over, I guess, hiring from a warm market versus a cold market? Because I feel like the warm market, you know them, you know their past, you know you can trust whatever the circumstances may be. But then when you're talking about hiring from someone you don't even know, like how do you put your trust into them?
Okay. Good question, right? Because you come from knowing, right, being family to Scott and Kelly. I'm gonna pick on Miss Sandra here. And ask her. So, right, a majority of my marketing is cold market. I have a little bit of warm. I actually sent videos to someone yesterday. But what is so cold market just takes money to be able to get out there, but it's also being real about where you're at, what you're doing, and like I don't, what I tell people, and I think most on my team directly will admit this, I don't paint fluffy clouds. I tell everybody you're going to work your butt off. I tell everyone that it's not easy every day, and you're really going to have to grow to get successful at this. Um, but is it worth it? 100%. So right, as I want to pick on Sandra and ask her, as someone that came in cold market, you know, what led you to like put that trust there, and kind of answer Katie's question to that.
That's a very good question. So, because I actually had been asked to join Symmetry previously, but that was right when I was a newly licensed agent. And so like a little over a year and a half, almost 2 years now, but and I was like, no, 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 I don't think I'm ready for that. Like it's 100% commission. And I've done those kinds of things before, rah, 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 and all that. But I was like, no, I'm not ready for that. But then I was in a job that I was miserable. And so I was still looking for those, I still had all the job alerts on, and I got Trevor's ad and it just hit differently. Like, I don't know. I still have to go. I still go back every now and then and read the ad because I saved screenshots of it because I was going over it with my husband. And so first of all, the way his ad was worded just hit differently than the other one. And because the other one, I was like, why I was skeptical because I was like, why does this person want me so much? It seems like I could just have a pulse and they would like hire me. But I didn't get that from Trevor's. And then of course, then the next step is I had the call with Allison, and she was adorable and I liked her and we really hit it off on the phone. And then she's like, okay, I've got to get you, with Trevor right now. So we had a call, second interview with Trevor, and just meeting with Trevor, over Zoom, I could tell that he was real, and he was sincere. And try not to cry, Trevor.
If you cry, you're gonna make me cry. So if you
And I
start
told
crying, you're
him,
gonna make me
and I
cry.
told him at conference I'm already working on my future, she's a millionaire speech or whatever.
I love it.
But Trevor told me at the end of the call, because I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, we're going over, and plus I had to get back to work too because I was on my lunch hour. And he goes, no, that's okay, don't worry about my time. He goes, because you're worth it. And that still gets me teared up when I said that. He's like, you're worth it. And I was like, oh my gosh. I told my sister, I said, I just had this interview and he told me I'm worth it. you know, and that just, I don't know, that just spoke volumes to me. So I
So
don't know
I
if that
think,
answered, I don't know if that answered Katie's question or not.
I
But
think it, I think it does
Yeah.
though, right? Becoming someone that empowers others, right?
Mhm.
Like having that, we've talked about that for newer in here, the newer agents in here, right? We know what Symmetry's core values are, but what are yours? And how do your core values align with that? And do you have your own personal mission statement, right? One of the things that align for me is part of my personal mission statement. And in the first sentence of it is, I am a servant leader.
Mhm.
I see it. We are all our own business. I don't work for Scott and Kelly. I will never work for Scott and Kelly. I wouldn't be here if I had to work for Scott and Kelly. I wouldn't do it. I'm not working for anyone else ever again in my life. I love that about this. But they're there to help mentor me and coach me and support me, but I don't work for them. And I don't have to. I can choose what meetings I go to and what meetings I don't go to. And I love that about here. And understanding that my way also, the way a lot of people probably heard say that, for those a little bit older, this is a choose your own adventure book, right? It's not that one path is perfect. My job is to say, hey, here's what I've done to be successful. Here, I'm following people that have agencies that are doing $1 million plus a month. Like that's who I want to be when I grow up. So that's who I'm trying to hang around. And, like really, really understanding that side of it, of, where are we at in that, and letting people go down that path, right? Like I love America, but if someone loves selling Am, I'm not going to cry about it. Cool, go sell Am. Like if you love them, deal with them, right? If you know that product, it makes sense. I think LGA is the best term product on the market. I do. But if you want to, or you're more comfortable with another term product, go sell that. That's what's cool here. Like, I don't need you to show up for me. You need to show up for yourself. Right. And my way might not necessarily always be the best way for them. So I have to be open to that. So on a cold market side, you have to be willing to grow into the person willing to do that. And how do we do that? Right. Like from conference, think about all the things we just took away, and what are you implementing right now? Do you have your first most important thing that we're a week removed today and this is what we're implementing moving forward? Or is it like, oh, hey, I have this list, but I'm not focusing on it? Like it's, because again, I said it this morning on the call with Linda of, I really believe you become the average of the 5 people you let influence you, not just that you're around, but you let influence you. I think that is a major thing. So that's why that's important, right? Getting around those people to grow into the person that's there. And it is, I mean, I say it all the time, like, there's days I feel like I'm just crushing leg day every day in the gym doing this. And you're walking and you're bow-legged and you can barely get off the chair because you crushed your legs. If you've ever done a really hard leg day, right? And it's just like crushed your legs and you got all that lactic acid in them. And, it feels like after a big game. So I'm emotionally drained, but then I come back and I do this and I'm recharged, right? And I'm back into it. So the challenge is we don't look at building like sales enough. And that's where I'm going with it. That's how it ties in for sales in terms of, I'm not trying to sell them. I'm trying to help them. Right? Like, just like we're trying to help families, we're trying, right? Helping others by growing and building is going to help with that. Like, I want to do it to like be there and where we go. So, right? Like really, like, are we looking at like when we're failing, do you think you're learning and growing, or do you think you're not succeeding? It goes for both recruiting and for selling. Like that works both ways. And I think we And I don't think we look at that enough, right? Like, how do we look at that? How do we put that in place? And how do we trust the people that are in front of us?
I have a question, Trev.
All right.
So my big thing with why I don't really feel like I'm ready to recruit is because I know how much I rely on you as like a
Okay.
mentor.
Yep.
So I'm like, I can't be that for somebody else. Like, I don't know. So it's like,
Okay.
do you know what I mean?
I
Like,
do. I
that's what
love
the
it.
fear is.
Absolutely. I love it. That is great to have. Okay.
Can I
Do
add
you
something
know,
to that?
yeah.
Or
No, add
add
it. No, no, no,
my own
please.
story with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I was hired by Esther Carlson. 2 weeks, she was hired in February and I was hired in April. She hadn't even made her first sale before she talked to me. Okay, and guess what? And she invited 10 people to conference before she even had her first sale. Okay, and all that she did was she connected me to Scott Summers, and I was completely trained and mentored by Scott Summers. Esther did not teach me anything about insurance because she did not know. And she created a, $2 million industry doing that. So do you think that you could, Heidi, introduce whoever you're looking to, hire to Trevor in a 3-way call?
Yes.
And just say why you think, Trevor, do you believe that Trevor knows his stuff and he can train someone and he can, be able to mentor them effectively?
Yeah.
That's all you have.
Yes. Okay.
Do you believe I'll help them like I've helped you?
Yes.
All right. There you go. So, and we have, and you've seen it, right? Like, look at what being in, and people literally on this call have experienced it, right? Look at being in office hours, what that does, right? Learning and talking and being around others, right? Again, the sum of the 5 people you're around. Look at what Allison and Katie just did. Look at what you learn while you're in there, right? Like, I say it, and I don't think people really believe me when I say it. I wouldn't have the success I have if I didn't bug Linda, if I didn't bug Pat, if I didn't bug Tyler and Krista when I came in and asked them 5 million all the time. I was like, question. Hey, I got a question, right? Like all the time. But then it starts multiplying, right? It's there. And we have a system to help. Here's what's also cool. Linda's incentivized to help. Know why? Because I know Linda knows she's going to get to 130 here. And guess what? As she works her way up, she knows that if Symmetry grows, she's going to make more money too. The people that really grasp that understand it. Scott's incentivized for all of us to be successful because if we all are, he moves up. And Scott's next step is equity partner, which means if Symmetry is bigger, he makes more money. Like that's what's so cool is we're all incentivized together to do it. If you're willing to put on that mindset of it's there. So here's the crazy part. You can get that to the top of the company here by introducing to people that are better than you and more successful than you. And then you learn how to lead because they're helping you grow up. Their production counts towards your production. Like it counts. Like their production counts towards your comp increasing levels, right? Imagine if Sarah didn't reach out to Jamie Susie and talk to Jamie Susie about this and say, hey, Jamie, you really need to look at this. I'm seeing the money these people are doing. Just have a look at it. Imagine if Sarah didn't do that. Imagine if Jim didn't tell Sarah, who was looking at State Farm, hey, go look at this. Right? Like think about that. Like it was so funny. Sarah was talking about today. Sarah knows this much about policy. Sarah will tell you, do not come to me if you need product questions. I cannot help you, right? She was talking about basic riders today. She doesn't know what they mean. She doesn't know. Her agency is now doing $1.5 million a month. A month. So you don't have to let that limiting belief now do it. The only limiting belief that's going to help it, it's there, right? And back to the first question, like Linda, you missed what came on, is have you made the real decision that this is what you're going to do? Have you really made that decision that symmetry is my place, that I'm going to help others? Because guess what? I hadn't when I first started. That's why I didn't build right away, partially. Also, was selling. You guys know my story a little bit, traveling with the RV, but I hadn't really fully committed to that decision. And you've heard me tell the story of how going to the boot camp in Denver and being around other people changed my life here. Like, that's what that can do for you. So why not give someone else that opportunity? You have to think of it like, we're asking, how do we quickly level up and get higher in sales? We can do it way quicker by building than we can by selling and producing. We got to produce. That's how this works. But you can get way more money in your pocket way faster by getting your commission level up and doing it that way.
I mean, Trevor, another example is Danny Young. How many policies has he written?
10,
And how big is his organization?
2,000 agents.
Exactly.
Yep.
You just
Like,
need
think
to,
about that.
yeah, like and it's pretty consistent too across the Purdy agency, Danny Young, all saying you just need to find your, I call it the 4 to 6, 4 core, core 4, right? Those leaders who will build the pillars, and you will get, and as Casey says, right? You will get sales if you find builders and leaders. If you find salespeople, you'll get sales, but if they're not really a salesperson until they have someone under them, so.
So yeah, so I want to take the opportunity to share what I learned on Monday night with everybody in this for showing up today. You get to hear a little special background behind the scenes. I think a few of you kind of figured it out, but I did literally get to sit next to Casey Watkins at dinner Monday night and have dinner with Casey. I wasn't just in the room. I had no, I got put there. I'm incredibly grateful because I really understand what kind of opportunity that was. And I will tell you this, I got to ask a lot of really cool questions to Casey. Sean Boatman did, Todd Spivey was at our table. We got to talk to Todd. But sitting next to Casey, I connect a lot with Casey. Just have listened to different people, like very similar in how we're naturally wired. And a couple things really stood out. My favorite question I got to ask him was, hey, at your level, you're trying to level up symmetry, right? You believe in personal growth and self-development. So at your level, what are you doing for that now? Like, what does that look like at your level? And how does it translate to helping the, symmetry grow? And his answer was cool. And it was, he was humbled by it. He talked about being in the room with F&G. Now, F&G is a capital partner of Symmetry, if you're unaware of that. So he's around, in case you guys are unaware, F&G is a very, very, very big company, like tens of billions of dollars company a year. Okay. And he understood how much he had to grow. Brandon understood how much he had to grow. Pope understood how much he had to grow to get to Symmetry to a level where they're doing billions of dollars a year and not hundreds of millions. And being around that room and seeing what they're doing to level up, because those guys are all hanging out with billionaires, right? Those are the people they're hanging out with. So really understanding that it's about those 5 people and leveling up who you're trying to hang around. All right. Really leveling up that circle that you were in, and as quickly as you can level that up. And you can do that here. You can do that here at Symmetry really, really fast. And then 2, you want to start building right now if you're not, because you want your processes in place. And this is basically verbatim to what Casey said to me and Sean. Within the next 12 to 24 months, what we have coming for this company is going to make it where if you are building, you will have unlimited people to interview and people knocking on your door. So you better have a system in place right now that gets them through and gets them going. That's a pretty bold statement, but he was confident in it. It wasn't like, hey, we're working towards this. You know, hey, I think I can sell $5,000 in a week. Hey, I think Symmetry can do 300 grand this year. It was, this is what we're doing. This is our vision and this is our goal. And we are going to take the company there and whoever wants to come along with it. I think we all can agree here that we're here because we also want some money, right? The money's the cool part, but we all want our time back, most importantly. That's why, right? We really want that, you know, to build that agency and get it back. And so if you're new here, guys, my 1-year anniversary is in 13 days here. Like, I really want you to think about that. At this time last year, I was doing Excel. Like, I was literally like in my Excel course, and a year later, I'm sitting on stage with Casey Watkins doing a builders panel and having dinner with him. And it's because I have reached up and reached out and connected. And I've just followed what's in place. I don't have any special powers when it comes to that. Like, I've just listened to other people that are way more successful than me, and they say do this, so I go do it. So when Brad Smith and Jared and Sarah Reineke say go do this, guess what? I'm going to go do the stuff with the people who have a 20 and a $15 million a year agency, because that's where I want to be. Right? Like, so that's my challenge to everybody here from coming from conference. And I kind of want to end with this being open mic about conference now. Okay. We're a week removed. I want us to list the biggest thing we want to, if we're not already started, I want us to talk about the biggest thing we're implementing and we took away from conference. Because remember, we're all here and we all agreed we're going to hold each other accountable here. And if you don't volunteer, I'm going to volunpick.
Voluntold.
Voluntold.
I mentioned to Linda the other day, it's nothing new that I haven't heard a million times, but you got to resets and building.
Yep.
They got to just be more intentional.
So how are you going to do that? What are you going to do to be more intentional? How are you going to hold yourself accountable?
Well, on the resets, I got post-its all around because all it is asking a couple questions, right? So that part's easy. And building, I have to get my head around investing in building.
Yeah. What do you think's more profitable, building or producing?
Building.
Yeah. And it's probably not close, right?
Over time, absolutely not. Yeah.
Yes, correct. Now you have to be willing to have a short term, hey, understand the first month you're not making any money building. Like I'm months into this. I'm not like printing money like building, right? I'm not at 130 and got this giant delta. We're working up, but I understand where it's going. I know where I want to help it, and it's there, right? Like, and I know you get this, Steve, like, right? Like you understand because you've helped me a ton of if you pour that into others, you know, you can help them get there, right?
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
right. And you can show them, hey, I've been through those peaks, I've been through those valleys, and do that there. So, right. So who are you going to use to hold you accountable for that?
Linda Chung.
Love it. Major Chung. All right.
Ground control to Major Chung.
Yeah. That's actually what was going through my head when I said that, by the way. All right. So for the new people, right, that are here, maybe, you know, I know a few of you weren't able to make conference, but most of us on here were, right? What else were those? What are those things that is a newer, I want to hear from some of the newer agents. Like I'm gonna pick on Miss Brandy since she's being quiet. So
actually, I was just typing in the chat.
there we go. We'll make you talk about it. Like what, right? So coming in, you right away, I said, hey, we're having a meetup in Orlando. You got your butt in your car, drove to Orlando, right? For those that don't know, Brandy worked at 2 other IMOs for 8 months. She had 0 sales in those 8 months, 0, right? And, you know, she's already doing, I mean, I could probably consider that 1,000x better here.
Yeah.
But what, for you now, is that your first conference? What's the takeaways that you want to put in place?
For me, my biggest thing that I need to work on is like my social media and my verify. Like with in the session breakout room with Linda and Danny Soares and Javon, that whole thing where they're like teaching us social media, because I am very new to social media. I only got social media when I left California a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So that's what I need to work on more, is that. And just reaching out to people.
So, you all have probably noticed Mel and I made a very distinct decision about that for us.
Mm-hmm.
And you've probably noticed much more content coming out from my wife and I.
Yes, I love it.
I
You're
made
always
that
on my
decision.
stories, I hear. See,
I made that decision before conference. So understand, I know what it takes to do that. So my old business, the reason it was what it was is I built that on the back of Facebook and Instagram. I literally personally built one of the largest social media followings on Instagram for an outdoor company in the United States. We had a lot of followers. And that's how I built it, because I did it. It's just like working out. I just posted every day, even on the days I didn't want to, even on the days I didn't, have it. Like I did that. So, like I can also very much help with that because I know how to turn it on. And part of the reason, like, I held it off for a while is because I know once I turn it on, I got to keep it going. But I'm already seeing results from it. Like, I literally had somebody in my warm market reach out to me yesterday and say, "Hey, I'm trying to do this. They're trying to leave Arizona and the wife wants to move, and I'm looking for something I can transition into." Well, hey, here's 2 videos. Here's 2 links. Check these out and then text me back. There we go. So I love it. All right.
Yeah,
And
I would like to share with the social media thing. I've been like, so I was struggling, right? So I hate social media. The only reason I had Facebook was to just like post random, hilarious, but probably highly offensive memes and things, And so I made my profile private when I started this because I'm like, I don't want people to see, you know. And so like I was like, well, I don't want to lose that. But then that's just stupid. So I went through and I realized that like there's no like that's just dumb. So I deleted a bunch of posts, not all of them, because that would take like 6 years. But I deleted a bunch of the inappropriate posts, and now I'm just starting to post like, you know, insurance stuff. Like I went through and I stole a bunch of different posts from Geneva because she said I could. And so every day I'm just posting something about insurance, you know. But yeah, just making it a part, because especially after Javon was saying, he adds his clients to Facebook. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's actually a really good idea. So I'm just gonna do that, because obviously that's more important than just posting dumb things, So, and then also the other thing that I'm really trying to implement is just more the conversational aspect when you're running an appointment, or even like trying to set an appointment, instead of me wanting to try and like sell them on something. Like my job is to just ask them questions, like just dig and find out like, hey, what's up with this, or what's up, that conversational. And it's, I've had a lot more success so far. So yeah, really good
Awesome.
stuff.
And I wanna share this with you, and you asked me about it. You made it public, so I'm gonna talk about it, but we can talk about it here because we're all friends here and we're accountable. Never, ever, ever be ashamed of where you came from. You are incredibly strong. We are all very proud of you. And you should celebrate those milestones. And it is never inappropriate to talk about it or share that. Because guess what? I'll bet there's some people that maybe are quietly struggling and you don't even know about. And your story and what you've gone through and where you've become, just talk to them about that, hey, I was here and I'm here now. your story has way more impact than you will ever give yourself credit for.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really glad you told me to share. So
Yes. Remember, I'm pretty good at the push,
yeah, you are.
right? Even when it hurts a little bit. All right.
I'll chime in just right quick about, especially about the social media, because what, and Trevor sort of alluded to it earlier, is that on our first shift of rodeo last Saturday night, literally there's 70,000 people in the stadium. I'm on a team, I'm the captain of a team of 51 people. So I'm making the rounds, checking on my team. And this girl, I stopped to talk to my husband because he's on my team too. And this girl who I did not recognize at first, but she recognized me, stopped me, and she said, and a mix of everyone, she goes, "Sandra Cunningham." And I was like, "Yes." And it's like slowly coming to me. I was like, "Nope, not her. Okay, is it her?" And she goes, "Kim Rich." And I went to high school with her. And she looks way different, but so do I. But anyway, and she's like, "I saw your," well, so we caught it for a second, and she says, "I saw your insurance post." She goes, "I need to talk to you about that." She goes, "My husband," she goes, "I married Mike Whittle." And I was like, "Yeah, I remember that." And anyway, she's like, "Well, he's, on disability. He had an aneurysm a few years ago." And anyway, she goes, "So I don't even know if there's a thing for him or not." And I was like, "Yeah, we definitely need to talk. And I can definitely, put you in touch with my mentor and we can do a 3-way call." And anyway, so that was pretty cool. And
Love it.
then as far as what I'm implementing from conference is kind of what we talked about here. The main thing is, and Danny's stories and Linda's thing, he was like, just take 10 people out of your contacts, go through 10 people a week and say, "Hey, do you know anybody who would like to make $3,000 to $5,000 a week?" And see where you get there. So you're talking about 100 contacts, that's 10 weeks.
Are you open to hearing what's made other people successful? And
Mhm.
would you be willing to follow them? And are you interested in leadership? It's that easy. All right. Any other brave souls? I like what C Smash shared in chat.
Yeah, I kind of want to expand on that a little bit because I think because Krista and I have talked a lot too. But I mean, what was it, Jovan Spencer or Jovan Abernathy, who was saying, like if you have a bad week, you weren't following one of the four cornerstones, to the T, right? And it just, I mean, and it's a sobering thing. But I don't know. I've heard Debbie say it before too, that at the end of the day, if you're going through a hard time in this business and things aren't going out the way you want, you got to take a look there first. Like that's got to be one of the four, one of the places you look is the four cornerstones. So that was, really, really huge to me because, I can say that I'm, doing all of them, but not every single day to a T. You know what I mean? So that was just kind of like holding up that mirror. So, and I'll say this too, kind of going back to, any hesitation to reach out to Warm Market. I think that Warm Market's great. What I listen, I had an agent last year that was from Warm Market, and in the 4 months or so that he was here, he did about 2/3 of my production across the whole year, and he did it in 4 months. And I bring that up mostly because with him being Warm Market, I had kind of prejudged him from the time that we'd worked together. And I was like, I don't know if he's a good fit for this. Like, I don't really know that he'd make it or be successful doing this. But I bumped into him and I knew that he hated working where he was working. And so I offered him the opportunity and he blew me out of the water production wise. And so, there's a lot of I think, a lot of my things come from like, prejudging others and just need to remove that entirely and just share it with them and leave it up to them. And the other part is, they're like, I like to think I'm a far better person today than I was, a few years ago. And so there's a group of people that I love that I think all of them could crush it here. But the person I was when I was friends with them, I don't know that they would, take direction, you know what I mean, like to be like, "Oh, check this out," they'd be like, "Okay," you know what I mean, like so that's those are my reservations, um
Can I add something? Well,
Yeah,
comment
please.
on that part.
Yeah.
So we all have like the people from our past, right? However you knew them, you maybe like did, upside down kickstands with them last you knew, right? And it's a different image. I'm not saying that for me, but maybe I did go to Dartmouth undergrad. But anyway, so they might not know yet how you've grown and evolved, right? But there is amount of, because they know you, that there is a certain level of trust. They might not understand or or consider your a financial advice. That's a different thing, but there's the separation between trust and respect. So at least as a warm market, you have that trust as a person. Okay. And it's just like, okay, I trust you in the fact that you're a friend and you're not going to try to scam me, sell me, or whatever. So that's the part that you have, that you can open that door, right? And then the respect is you leverage in the three-way, you edify the person who are your director, Tyler? Is it Scott?
It's Scott, yeah.
Yeah, Scott, right? So you would edify him, and really say, hey, I don't know, but if you're looking for whatever, edify his experience and so forth. So it's not you and having to show your results because they already have. Well, let's be honest, they are prejudging you based on your past experience,
Sure.
right? So and it can be separate. The trust you bring, the respect you bring by introducing someone who has the results and so forth. They don't have that baggage. So you bring those two together, then and communicate in a clear, concise way. That's how you can, with warm markets, it's that process.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that, Linda. Thank you.
I love it. Cool. Well, we're coming right up on 2 o'clock. Look at that. Landing the plane right on time. Couple minutes early. Everybody likes getting to the gate a couple minutes early when we're flying.
Can I make an announcement?
Oh, yeah. Let's hear it.
So you guys, a bunch of you have mentioned that session that with Javon and Danny and Suri and I. So we're actually going to be on the Purdy call doing that again, live event. So we did it 2 times at breakout session, and there was so much positive feedback that we're bringing it next Tuesday on the National Purdy call. So it's because it was an hour session before during the breakout session, it's going to be a edited for timing purposes, but just to it'll probably be different from the other sessions that we did breakouts. So spread the word and promote it. Best promoters win, right? So
Love it. Because I didn't get to go, so I'm super excited.